Your role is terminated. Accept this entry-level position or depart. The HR representatives fixed their gaze on the wall behind me, denying me even the courtesy of eye contact. 2 decades of my life condensed into a 15-minute meeting where they couldn't look at me. My throat constricted. Can I have until tomorrow? My voice was a whisper as I calculated the mortgage due in 3 days. For 20 years, I'd bled myself dry, expanding the firm's client portfolio. While colleagues attended soccer games and weekend trips, I stayed, nurturing relationships with high-value prospects. My dedication turned a floundering regional outfit into an industry titan. Every holiday, executives toasted record profits I secured. That evening, a former colleague messaged, "Heard what happened. FYI, your role wasn't eliminated. The CEO's nephew starts Monday." Before I share how I forged this betrayal into the most gratifying professional vengeance of my career, understand this. What follows isn't workplace drama. It's a masterclass in recognizing your worth when others blind themselves to it. If you've ever been underestimated, discarded, or invisible, despite your devotion, this is for you. Listen closely. The strategy I deployed didn't just restore my dignity. It shattered power dynamics in ways no one predicted. If you value stories like this but haven't subscribed, pause now. Your support fuels our mission to share tales of reclaimed power. I'm Everly Quinn. Professionally, I'm known as the solution architect, the one who untangled client crises with data-driven insight and authentic connection. My reputation was built on delivering results, sans drama, finding exits where others saw dead ends. Colleagues joked I could sell umbrellas in a desert, but charm wasn't my engine. It was genuine care fused with relentless work ethic. Outside work, a deliberately quiet life. My lakeside cottage, wild garden, and chipped teacups were my sanctuary. No marriage, not for lack of want, but because no relationship justified sacrificing the career I'd built. My solace was Winston, my rescue dog, who greeted me nightly like I'd survived a war zone, not a commute. I should have seen it coming. The signs were there. Meeting invites lost in cyberspace. Strategy talks moved to golf courses. Client requests rerouted around my desk. But when your identity merges with a company for 20 years, denial is a survival reflex. I called it oversight, not exile. The demotion morning began routinely. I arrived at 7 a.m., reviewing projections while the office slept. A calendar alert, 10:30. Patrice, HR. Odd, but I assumed it was about the new insurance plan. In the conference room, Patrice wasn't alone. The general counsel, a man I'd nodded at in hallways for years, sat beside her, clutching a manila folder. No handshakes. After their decree, I sat frozen. The entry-level role meant a 62% pay cut. Mortgage, mother's care, utilities, impossible. This isn't performance-based, Patrice added, as if that softened the blow. The firm is restructuring. Restructuring includes notice periods. I counted, steadying my voice. Severance, transition windows. The counsel cleared his throat. This is the transition. We're offering employment when termination was an option. I craved to scream that 20 years deserved more than clinical disposal. Instead, I asked for 24 hours to consider their offer. Back at my desk, colleagues averted their eyes. News traveled fast. My system access was already gutted. Client contracts, Revenue data vanished. 2 decades of institutional knowledge digitally erased. I collected my things. A plan I'd kept alive since year 1. A note from my first client thanking me for saving their business. Artifacts of a ghost life. In my car, professionalism crumbled. I gripped the wheel, pressure building behind my eyes, but no tears came. Only cold clarity. I scrolled to a contact I'd only used in quarterly. Reviews. Devin Aldridge, CFO of Midwestern Financial Partners. Our 15 mainletter crown jewel. My creation. From a regional footnote. Devin answered on the second ring. Everly, everything all right with the review prep? A beat of hesitation. Devin, I've been eliminated. Effective immediately. Silence. Then, guarded. May I ask why? Restructuring, I said. Where are you now? Parking lot. Stay, I'm 20 minutes away. I didn't question why our largest client's CFO would rush to me. Over 20 years, Devin and I had forged more than a vendor-client bond. We'd navigated market quakes and built trust brick by brick. 23 minutes later, his electric sedan slid beside mine. He nodded toward a cafe across the street. Over untouched coffees, Devin confirmed my suspicion. The CEO's nephew had been groomed for months. To seize my accounts, informal lunches were already staged. He's sharp but green, Devin said. At our meeting, he name-dropped while ignoring our needs. When I mentioned your custom reporting system, he suggested we streamline to their standard platform. Vindication flickered. That system took me months to build for their niche compliance needs, a bespoke anchor they relied on. Listen carefully. Devin leaned in. Our contract renews in 60 days. 3 competitors are circling. We've only held them off because of you. But Midwestern's acquiring 2 regionals next quarter. We need expanded support, either with your firm, in-house, or, he paused, you, as an independent consultant, initially for the transition, possibly permanent. Stared. You want me to poach your business? I want to hire the architect of our success. He corrected. The contract with your firm is separate. Our board will decide based on who advises us. I thought of the mortgage, the demotion, the nephew inheriting relationships I'd watered with missed weekends. I need to think, I said. Don't take too long, Devin warned. 60 days evaporates. That night, I watched Winston chase shadows on the porch. His joy clashed with my chaos. Colleagues' messages buzzed, some shocked, others fishing for gossip. One stood out. To my reception, they moved someone into your office. Fancy new nameplate. Griffin Harding, Senior Client Director. Griffin Harding. The nephew now bore my title, plus senior. I poured wine and weighed options. Swallow pride in the demoted role. Walk away empty-handed. Or take Devin's offer. Leverage my relationships for survival. The third option felt like betraying my ethics. I'd built success on integrity, not manipulation. But as night deepened and savings calculations glared back, perspective shifted. They'd erased 20 years without blinking. Was it unethical to serve a client who valued me, regardless of the logo on my card? By dawn, I'd chosen, but not as Devin expected. I emailed HR, accepting the admin role. Confusion erupted instantly. They'd banked on my indignant exit. At my new desk in the administrative pool, whispers trailed me. My supervisor, 15 years my junior, stammered through basic task explanations. My strategy, visibility and intelligence. The role granted building access, system entry, and a front row seat to observe. I needed to see how Griffin would handle Midwestern before my next move. I called Devin that afternoon. I'll consult for you, but I'm staying in the admin role temporarily. Unconventional, he replied. Why? To ensure Midwestern's needs aren't overlooked in the transition. He sensed strategy, but didn't probe. Conflict of interest. I'll consult after hours, discreetly. Understood, he said, respect coloring his tone. For 3 weeks, I lived dual lives. By day, flawless admin work, early arrivals, late departures, disarming politeness. By night, meetings with Devin's team, documenting every custom solution I'd built for them, knowledge living only in my mind. Meanwhile, Griffin proved Devin right, confident but clueless. He prioritized modernization over understanding, scheduling meetings during client crunch times, dismissing concerns from seasoned staff. Crucially, he dismantled my reporting system, calling it legacy bloat. He missed its purpose, compliance armor for Midwestern's unique regulations. When migration errors surfaced, Griffin blamed transition glitches, not core incompatibility. His team's warnings were overruled. 4 weeks in, Devin demanded an emergency meeting with leadership over service deterioration. Griffin shrugged it off. Client jitters. Then, an invite from the CEO's assistant. Midwestern discussion with Huisam. With Griffin, execs, and me, someone remembered I existed. I spent the weekend preparing, not for their meeting, but for my exit. I reviewed my consulting contract, non-compete clear, finalized Midwestern service overhaul, and steeled myself. Monday morning, executive conference room. Conversations died when I entered. The CEO's stare mixed confusion and irritation. Everly, you're here because... I was invited, I said, taking the farthest seat. Devin entered with Midwestern's GC and COO. The room stiffened. Devin opened with surgical precision. We've experienced system failures, missed deadlines, and radio silence on critical inquiries. Worse, the compliance framework, essential to our operations, was dismantled without replacement. Griffin jumped in. We're upgrading to superior enterprise platforms. Adjustment periods are normal. Devin cut him off. We weren't consulted. And superior. He turned to me. Everly designed that system for our specific needs. Correct? All eyes locked on me. 20 years of professionalism distilled into one reply. The system was updated quarterly for regulatory shifts. Its architecture exceeded your standard. Platform, especially in cross-jurisdiction compliance. The CEO bristled. If you objected, why not speak up? With respect, I said. Client systems aren't in my job description anymore. Devin slid folders across the table. We're unbundling services we'll manage separately. The current arrangement no longer fits. The CEO paled reading the summary. This slashes contract value by 40%. It reflects the value under your current service model. Devin affirmed. The CEO's gaze darted between us, calculating. Perhaps we rushed Everly's transition. We could reinstate her. Devin glanced at me. Was this the victory lap? I stayed neutral. Generous, but admin is where the firm needs me. Confusion flashed across exec faces. They'd expected gratitude, not refusal. Devin closed. We've arranged alternatives for unbundled services. We'll maintain a relationship on these terms. Post-meeting panic spread. A 40% revenue hit from their largest client. Catastrophic. The CEO summoned me next morning, not to restore my role, to accuse. Griffin moved too fast, but this timing, Devin requested you yesterday. The proposal mirrors your work. Are you conspiring with them? Devon reached out post-transition, I said evenly. Natural after 20 years. And the consultant rebuilding systems in their proposal. I'm unaware of specifics. I lied. My access is admin only now. He leaned back, defeated. Name your price to fix this. For a second, I imagined it. Restored title, director salary, equity. Then I recalled HR's wall stare. Griffin in my office before my plants were gone. 20 years of sacrifice Christmases. I appreciate the talk. I stood. But quarterly inventory is due. You're rejecting redemption. He gasped. Honoring the firm's assessment of my skills. I said, now if you'll excuse me, spreadsheets await. 2 tension-strung weeks followed. Midwestern's contract revision advanced. Griffin scrambled to prove. Standard systems. Worked. Failing harder as compliance gaps widened. I lunched with suddenly friendly colleagues, answering factual queries about Midwestern, volunteering nothing. My evenings, building my future. Devon and I cemented the consulting deal. Midwestern saved 40%. I matched my old salary with half the hours. 3 days before Midwestern's deadline, Griffin appeared at my admin desk, confidence frayed. I need your help. Midwestern's team keeps citing undocumented customizations. We need them replicated by Friday. I'd waited for this. Happy to explain. When? Now. For 4 hours. I walked him through the system's intricacies. Every workaround, every regulatory patch. His hope faded as he grasped the truth. This couldn't be rebuilt in days or weeks. It was a living organism I'd nurtured for years. You built all this alone? He whispered. With client feedback, I said. And I destroyed it in 3 weeks. He looked hollow. Why help me after everything? You asked, I said, and clients come first. That evening, the CEO called. Midwestern's board votes tomorrow. Griffin says you helped, but we're still losing 40%. Return as director, equity included, if you salvage the contract. It was everything I'd ever wanted. Recognition, power, security. All it cost was convincing Devon to overpay. Generous, I said, but I can't sway Midwestern now. Then good luck, he spat. Wherever you land. Friday morning, I resigned. Cleared my desk. Passed Tamer at reception. They're all in conference, she murmured. Midwestern's verdict is live. I stepped into spring sunlight. Nowhere to be for the first time in 20 years. At the lakeside park, I finally released it all. The betrayal, the fury, the fear. At 10:30 a.m., decision hour, I sat on a bench, phone silent. Devon texted. Done, call when ready. I breathed for 30 minutes, then dialed. Board approved the revision, he said. 40% cut, unbundled services as planned. Your CEO tried to restore your system last minute, but our techs told him the expertise walked out with you. And our consulting? Unanimous. Start Monday. 6 months, extendable. I'll be there. The weeks unfolded differently. I rebuilt Midwestern systems, this time with manuals and training. Work stayed within sane hours. Evenings became mine. Community gardens, dog training, reconnecting with family. 3 months in, Devon took me to a financial district lunch. Our window framed my ex-employer's tower. They announced quarterly results, he said. Revenue down 22%. Stock crashed 30 points. Griffin resigned. Back to grad school. I sipped water. Expected. He has potential, with humility. No satisfaction. Most had called this revenge perfected. Revenge wasn't the goal, I said. I'd have recommended the same cuts. If still there, integrity's rarer than victory. Devon smiled. Exactly why the board wants you permanently. Director of Regulatory Systems. Double your old salary. Real work-life balance. The offer was perfect. Yet I hesitated. May I think? I've grown fond of independence. Take time, he said. The role is yours, but we get it. That night, Winston chased fireflies as I reflected. My ex-firm was flailing. Consulting gave me security and freedom. Midwestern offered the recognition I'd earned. But the deepest change, realizing my worth wasn't tied to titles or corporations. It was mine. Always. I accepted Midwestern's offer. With flexible terms. Driving past my old office months later, I felt no bitterness. Their logo still glowed, but downsizing rumors swirled. The newsletter later confirmed their acquisition at half value, citing key client losses. When Devin sent the article, I replied, "Companies choose what they value." Some learn too late that trust and knowledge outlive nepotism. Tonight, my cottage buzzes with colleagues, neighbors, and garden friends. A first in 20 years. Laughter echoes off teacups as I understand. Reclaiming your worth isn't about vengeance. It's building a life so radiant. The shadows who dismissed you fade to irrelevance. If you've been underestimated, your value doesn't evaporate with their blindness. The richest payback is creating something they can't touch. Share your story below. Your resilience might light someone's path. Like, subscribe. Power awaits in our next story.